Good morning, all of you. The topic for discussion today is temporomandibular joint. What all we'll be discussing today? The introduction part of it. How does your joint, what is the evolution for the temporomandibular joint? The development, the components of the TMJ, what is the anatomy, histology, the biomechanics of your joint, the blood and the nerve supply, and the clinical importance of the temporomandibular joint. Okay. So before going into TMJ, what do we have to know? What is a joint basically? What is it? It's the union of two or more bones of your body. So these are the two bones. The union of those two bones is your joint, okay, to bring about movement, okay. And with respect to the components of the joint, a joint basically has a ligament, okay. This is the ligament which binds the bones together, and a cartilage which will cover the entire joint, and it will act as a cushion, okay, covering the articular ends of your bone. And then you have a capsule, which is the fibrous tissue that encloses the joint as a sac. So this is your cartilage. See, the articular ends of your bone is covered by your cartilage. Okay, this bone is covered by this blue color one, which is the cartilage, and this bone again, this light blue color one, which is the cartilage. So ligament will bind the bones together, whereas your cartilages will cover the articular ends of your bone. Okay, and then the capsule will enclose the entire joint as a sac, and then the synovial membrane, which is the inner lining of your capsule, okay, and it will secrete fluid called as synovial fluid to aid in lubrication. Okay, this is with respect to a joint in general. Now coming to our temporomandibular joint, this is a structurally and functionally it is thought to be a complex unit. Okay, it is also called as gangliono-arthroidal joint. Why? We'll be discussing that. Okay, see, in this temporomandibular joint, what are the two bones that are articulating? It is your temporal bone and then your condyle of your mandible. Okay, and it is bilateral synovial joint. Why it is called a synovial joint? We'll look into it. See, there are three types of joints basically. You have your fibrous joint, cartilaginous joint, and synovial joint. Okay, this fibrous joint is otherwise called as synarthroidal joint. Why? Because it is an immovable joint which is seen most commonly in your cranial vault and your joint between your tooth and the bone, your periodontal ligament, that is called as gomphosis. Okay, so that is also a kind of fibrous joint which is immovable. Okay, then the next one is cartilaginous joint, which is also called as synchondrosis, which is partially movable. And then the synovial joint, also called as diarthrosis. Okay, this is freely movable. So our temporomandibular joint is a synovial joint, diarthroidal synovial joint. So what are the components of your joint? It will have a, as we discussed before, a ligament which will connect your temporal bone and then your mandible of your condyle. Okay, and then you have articular cartilage which will cover the ends of the articulating surfaces of your bone, which is your temporal bone and your condylar mandible. And then you have your articular capsule, an articular disc between the two bones, okay, and then the synovial membrane. So these are your three types of joints. See, this is the fibrous joint, this is the cartilaginous joint, and this is the synovial joint. This is immovable, this is partially movable, and this is freely movable. This is the gomphosis, the fusion between your tooth and your bone. Okay, and this is our synovial diarthroidal joint. It's your temporal bone and then your condyle. You have an intervening disc in between. Okay, and this one is the articular eminence. Okay, we'll discuss about the hard tissue and the soft tissue components of the joint. So I told you, right, the articular cartilage, the components of a joint. Okay, we discussed what are the three types of joints. You had fibrous or immovable, cartilaginous or partially movable, and then synovial or freely movable joint. Then moving on to the components of your joint, this is your articular cartilage. Okay, what did I tell you? It will cover the articulating surfaces of your bone, right? See, unlike most synovial joints, the articulating surfaces are which are covered with your hyaline cartilage, whereas see here it is hyaline cartilage in other bones, okay, whereas in your temporomandibular joint the articulating ends are covered by fibrocartilage. Okay, one other place, see this is the hyaline cartilage and this is the fibrocartilage. This kind of an articular coverage is seen in other places, whereas in TMJ it is your fibrocartilage. One other place where there is fibrocartilage at the articulating surface is your acromio and sternoclavicular joint of the clavicle. So this is the clavicle, this is the acromioclavicular joint, your shoulder joint, and here where it joins with your sternum, your sternoclavicular joint. At these two ends, it is covered by fibrocartilage. Okay. So the articulating cartilage is fibrocartilage in our TMJ. Then moving on to the evolution of our joint. See this joint, no, it is unique to mammals. Okay, in other vertebrates, your lower jaw is compound, meaning it includes both your tooth-bearing and your articulating bone. Okay, as mammals evolved, what happened? This compound jawbone was reduced to a single bone, mandible, bearing your teeth that articulate with newly developed articulating surface on your temporal bone. Okay, so this is your amphibian skull where you can see your dentary bone with teeth, and your articulation is between terminal portion of your Meckel's cartilage and this is your palatoquadrate bar. Okay, so the articulation is between these two. In your reptiles, the joint is still between your palatoquadrate bar and then your dentary part, whereas this dentary part has increased in size. That's it. Okay, then moving on to your fossil mammals, your reptile-like things, your dentary bone has enlarged even more, and this has got what? Coronoid process. Look at this. This has got coronoid process. Okay, but the articulation is still between your dentary and then your palatoquadrate bar. Okay, and then in mammals, this is your dentary bone which is articulating with the temporal bone. Okay, this is the evolution of your temporomandibular joint. Okay, now it is so peculiar about our TMJ. I told you it is the articulation between two bones, your temporal bone and then your mandibular condyle. Okay, and this belongs to which group of joints? It is a synovial joint, also called as gangliomo-arthroidal joint. Why? Because it produces both hinge movements. That is why it is called as gangliomo, and gliding movements. That is why it is called as arthroidal. Okay. So why it is called as gangliomo-arthroidal joint? It produces both hinge and gliding movements. Okay. And why is it so peculiar? This is a bilateral diarthroidal joint. That is, it is freely movable. Okay. And the articulating surface is covered by fibrocartilage. And this has got rigid endpoint closure. That is your teeth. Okay. So here there is articulation between your condylar head of the mandible and glenoid fossa. So this part of your temporal bone is called as your glenoid fossa, which articulates with your mandibular condyle. And this is your articular or eminence. Okay. So here, to be very specific, in a TMJ, the articulation is between your anterior part of your glenoid fossa. Okay, this is your glenoid fossa and your articular eminence, and then your condylar head of your mandible. Okay. See, this is your temporomandibular joint, this greenish thing. Okay, this is your temporomandibular joint. This is your temporal bone, glenoid fossa, and this is the mandibular condyle. Okay. And now, so what are the components? You have hard tissue components and soft tissue components. This is your temporal bone, exactly your glenoid fossa, the mandibular condyle, and you have something called articular disc, okay, in between, in your joint cavity. So this is your joint cavity. This is your fibrous capsule. See, it encloses your joint like a sac. Okay. And now identify the muscle here. This is your lateral pterygoid muscle. Okay, it is inserted into your pterygoid fovea, articular disc and capsule, right? So this is one of your muscles of mastication, which is your lateral pterygoid muscle. Okay, so what are the components now? You have your temporal bone, you have your mandible, you have your articular disc, and then your capsule. Okay. Now the development of TMJ. How does your temporomandibular joint develop? So it is considered to be a secondary joint because the primary joint is between your malleus and incus, okay, which is lateral to your Meckel's cartilage. Meckel's cartilage contributes to the development of your mandible. Okay. Now this is your secondary joint. Okay. Here the development occurs in 3 stages. What are the 3 stages in the development of TMJ? You have blastemic stage, cavitation stage, and maturation stage. Okay. In your blastemic stage, what happens? You have 2 blastemas. Okay, this is your temporal blastema and this is your condylar blastema. Your temporal blastema is from your otic capsule and your condylar blastema is from your secondary condylar cartilages. Okay, what is that? It is the, see, this is the condensation of the mesenchyme. So it is the mesenchymal condensation that is located. See, this is your Meckel's cartilage. So it is located above and lateral to your Meckel's cartilage. So what are the 2 blastemas in development of temporomandibular joint? You have your temporal blastema and then your condylar blastema. This is blastemic stage. Then what is cavitation stage? See, the intervening undifferentiated mesenchyme between your blastemas, your temporal blastema and your condylar blastema, will condense to form the articular disc. Okay, so the mesenchymal condensation happens, which forms your articular disc. Okay, and as your condyle develops from your condylar blastema continuously upwards, approaching your glenoid fossa, this mesenchyme will differentiate. Okay, and it forms a cavity. Okay, joint cavity is formed below your articulating disc. Okay, this is your lower joint cavity. So this is your cavitation stage. Okay, and then moving on to your maturation stage, where even your superior joint cavity is formed. Okay, and you have a fibrous capsule surrounding the joint also. Okay, and this TMJ, it is not fully developed at birth. So the 2 blastemas will be your condylar blastema and then your temporal blastema, and your intervening mesenchyme differentiates into an articular disc to a thick strip of mesenchyme. Okay, and then it undergoes cavitation. You have your lower joint cavity and then your upper joint cavity, and then your fibrous capsule will encloses. Okay, and then see, these are your blastemas. Your temporal blastema, condylar blastema, the articular disc. This is the mesenchymal condensation that is happening. This is your articular disc, and then there is cavitation. Okay, lower joint cavity. This is your lower joint cavity, and then your upper joint cavity, and all that. So this is your condylar blastema, and this is your articular disc. Okay, and this is the temporal blastema. See, this is your condyle. This is the squamous part of your temporal bone, and this strip is the articular disc, and this is the upper joint cavity, and this is your lower joint cavity. Now moving on to the components of TMJ. What are the hard tissue components? You have glenoid fossa of your temporal bone, and then your mandibular condyle, and then you have your articular eminence, and then is your postglenoid fossa. So the 3 major hard tissue components of your TMJ will be your mandibular condyle, glenoid fossa of your temporal bone, and then your articular eminence. Okay, these are the hard tissue components of your temporomandibular joint. And what are the soft tissue components of your temporomandibular joint? You have your articular disc, and then you have various ligaments connecting your bone, your temporal bone, sorry, your temporal bone and your mandible. Okay, and then you have your muscles, synovial membrane, which is the inner aspect of your inner lining of your fibrous capsule, and then you have the fibrous capsule. Okay, see, this is the glenoid fossa of the temporal bone, mandibular condyle, articular disc. Okay, this articular disc divides the entire joint cavity into two compartments. You have your upper compartment and your lower joint compartment. Okay, and this is your fibrous capsule. This encloses the entire joint. Okay, so this is your upper joint space, lower joint space, articular capsule, the three parts, sorry, articular disc. Okay, there are parts of the articular disc we'll be discussing later. This is your articular eminence. Okay. Now, first we'll look into the temporal bone. Okay, see, your temporal bone, this is your glenoid fossa, right? It is the part of the temporal bone which articulates with your mandible. Okay, your TMJ consists of inferior surface of your squamous part of your temporal bone. So this is your inferior surface of squamous part of your temporal bone. Okay, that is your glenoid fossa. See, your temporal bone, articular disc, and then your mandibular condyle, upper joint cavity and lower joint cavity. See, this is your squamous part of your temporal bone. This is your temporal bone, to be very specific. And this one is this is your temporal bone. This is your glenoid fossa. This is your articular eminence. Okay. And this is your post-glenoid process, and this is the squamotympanic fissure. So this is what bone? Temporal bone, glenoid fossa, articular eminence, post-glenoid process, and squamotympanic fissure. So this is limited anteriorly by your articular eminence, posteriorly by your squamotympanic fissure. Okay, and this is covered by a fibrous layer. Your glenoid fossa is covered by a fibrous layer. Okay, and then, so this is your glenoid fossa, this is your articular eminence. Now, you have parts of your articular eminence. Okay, this has got descending slope, transverse ridge, and ascending slope. The major function of your articular eminence is to limit the anterior movement of the condyle. That is, it limits the anterior movement of your condyle. Okay, so we have seen the temporal bone, the parts of your temporal bone, your glenoid fossa and articular eminence. Now moving on to mandibular condyle. It is a, see, this is an ovoid convex process which is broad laterally and narrow medially. Okay, it is a cancellous bone which is covered by a layer of compact bone. See, this is your lateral pole of your mandibular condyle, and this is the medial pole of the mandibular condyle. So this is the lateral pole and this is the medial pole of your mandibular condyle. See, this is the lateral pole, medial pole of mandibular condyle, and this is the neck. Okay, this is your pterygoid fovea where your lateral pterygoid muscle gets inserted. So mandibular condyle. Okay, moving on to articular disc. What is it? You saw the disc in the intervening space, right, which divides your joint cavity into upper joint space and lower joint space. It is an oval, okay, non-elastic, fibrous, avascular. Okay, it is fibrous, avascular plate, okay, which is present in the between your articulating surfaces. Okay, it is divided into three layers. You have a thin intermediate zone, okay, a thick anterior band, and a thick posterior band. So this is your thin intermediate zone, this is the thick anterior band, and this is the thick posterior band. Okay, the anterior band is approximately 2 millimeters and the posterior band is approximately 3 millimeters. So this disc divides the joint cavity into upper joint space and lower joint space. Okay, so the upper surface of the disc, see, the upper surface of the disc is concavo-convex. Okay, the lower surface is concave. See, this is concave to accommodate your condyles. Okay, and it is firmly attached to the medial and lateral poles of your condyle. Okay, so this is your, the three parts. You have a thin intermediate zone, thick anterior and a thick posterior band. Okay, now this posterior band, right, it continues as a bilateral or a bilaminar zone. Okay, so the posterior band is very important because it continues as a bilaminar zone or a retrodiscal tissue which is highly vascular. Okay, so you have a thin intermediate zone, thick anterior and thick posterior band. Okay, and your posterior one continues as your bilaminar zone. This is the articular disc, your temporal bone, your condyle. It divides the joint cavity into upper joint space and lower joint space. Okay. Your articular disc, okay, your posterior band which continues as your bilaminar zone. This is your upper lamina and this is your lower lamina. Okay, see, your upper lamina, it is attached to your glenoid fossa and your lower lamina is attached to your condyle, and this is the fibrous capsule, this green one. It encloses the entire joint. Okay, and this is the thin intermediate zone, thick anterior band which is 2 mm and thick posterior band which is 3 mm. Now moving on to the capsule. Okay, so this is your, these are your articulating surfaces. Okay, this is your glenoid fossa, this is your mandibular condyle, and we said only in your in your TMJ and in your acromioclavicular and sternoclavicular joint, we have a fibrocartilage at the articulating ends. So this is your cartilage, articular cartilage. Okay, it is, which is fibrous in nature. So your glenoid fossa is covered by a fibrocartilage and your condyle is also covered by a fibrocartilage. Okay, and this is the capsule. See, this encloses the entire joint. Okay, this capsule, this fibrous capsule is a sac. Okay, it is a fibroelastic sac, okay, which is dense, collagenous, and it is attached to the articular eminence. See, this side, it is your articular eminence. Okay, see, it is your articular eminence, and then inferiorly to your mandibular condyle, and it is also attached to the margins of your glenoid fossa. Okay, it has got two layers. Okay, the outer layer is called as stratum fibrosum and the inner layer is called as stratum synovial. Two layers are your synovial membranes. See, this is with respect to the attachment of your capsule. See, it is attached to the margins of the glenoid fossa. See, what is a fibrous capsule? It is a membranous sac that covers your entire joint. Okay, it is attached to the margins of the glenoid fossa and then your mandibular condyle and also to your articular eminence. Okay, moving on to your synovial membrane. Okay, it lines the inner aspect of your capsule, your fibrous capsule, and the most important is that it does not line your articulating surfaces. So your synovial membrane will not line the articulating surfaces such as your mandible or your temporal bone. So your synovial membrane has got two layers, cellular intimal layer and vascular subintimal layer. Okay, your cellular intimal layer has got synovial cells. Okay, cellular, so it has got cells, synovial cells. Okay, what are the three types of cells in your cellular intimal layer? You have A cells, B cells and cells of intermediate cell morphology between the two. Okay, A cells are your macrophage-like cells and B cells are your fibroblast-like cells. So, the synovial membrane which is your inner lining of your capsule. See, inner lining of your capsule, it does not line the articulating surfaces. The two layers are your cellular intimal and vascular subintimal. Cellular intimal has got three types of cells: macrophage-like or A cells, fibroblast-like or B cells, and then a vascular subintimal layer, okay, which is rich in vascular supply. And what does this synovial membrane do? The function of this is to secrete what? Synovial fluid. For that, it has to be thrown into folds. So these are the synovial villi, which projects into the joint spaces, and this produces your synovial fluid to aid in lubrication. Okay. Now we'll move on to the ligaments and muscles. Okay, what are the, you have major, what is a ligament? It basically joins two bones of a, it unites, okay, two bones of a joint. Okay, now there are three minor ligaments and one major ligament in a temporomandibular joint. Okay, what is the major ligament? The major ligament is your temporomandibular joint, and the minor ligaments are your sphenomandibular, stylomandibular, and pterygomandibular joint. Okay, so temporomandibular joint unites your temporal bone and your mandible. It is also called as, see, temporal bone and your mandible. It is also called as lateral ligament. And sphenomandibular ligament unites your sphenoid bone and mandible. And stylomandibular ligament between your styloid process and your mandible. Okay, so the major ligament is temporomandibular or lateral ligament. The minor ligaments are sphenomandibular, stylomandibular, and pterygomandibular ligament. Now, what is temporomandibular ligament or lateral ligament? Okay, your temporomandibular ligament or lateral ligament. See, this is your temporomandibular ligament or your lateral ligament. Okay, this is a fan-shaped ligament, okay, which is present in the lateral aspect of your articular capsule. See, your capsule encloses your joint. So, lateral to that fibrous capsule, you have this temporomandibular or lateral ligament, which is seen from the lateral aspect of your articular eminence to the posterior part of your condyle, okay, condylar neck. And there are two parts. This has got an outer oblique fiber and inner horizontal fiber, okay. And the major function of this temporomandibular joint is to prevent displacement, okay, to prevent displacement of your temporomandibular joint in a posterior and inferior directions. So this prevents displacement of your TMJ inferior and posterior and inferior direction. Okay, what are the accessory joints now? You have your sphenomandibular, stylomandibular, and pterygomandibular. So your sphenomandibular is thought to be a residue of Meckel's cartilage. Okay, it runs from your where it runs from your sphenoid, spine of sphenoid to lingula of mandible. So from your sphenoid to lingula of mandible. This is your lingula, right? So to your lingula of mandible. Okay, this limits displacement of your TMJ in an inferior direction. Okay, and it also protects excessive translocation of TMJ. So this prevents inferior displacement, and it runs from your spine of sphenoid to lingula, and it is considered to be a residue of Meckel's cartilage. So what is this? This joint is your temporomandibular or your lateral ligament. Okay, from your temporal bone to your mandible. Okay, and this is your sphenomandibular ligaments from spine of sphenoid to lingula, and one more is your stylomandibular ligament. So this is your styloid process. So this runs from your styloid process, your temporal bone to your angle of your mandible. So this is your angle of your mandible to get inserted between your masseter and your medial pterygoid muscles of mastication, right? So the stylomandibular ligament gets inserted between your masseter and medial pterygoid. This also limits excessive mouth opening, and this one is considered to be a thickening of your cervical fascia, your deep cervical fascia anatomy. Okay, so your sphenomandibular ligament, it is your residue of Meckel's cartilage, whereas stylomandibular ligament, It is considered to be a thickening of your deep cervical fascia. Okay. Then we'll move on to pterygomandibular ligament. So it is thickening of your buccopharyngeal fascia. It is seen from your, see, this is your pterygomandibular raphe from your hamulus of your medial pterygoid plate to the mylohyoid line of your mandible. Okay, pterygomandibular ligament, and this also limits excessive movements of joints. Okay, so what are the major and minor ligaments? Your major ligament is your temporomandibular, and minor ligaments are your sphenomandibular, stylomandibular, and pterygomandibular. And what are the muscles? Muscles of mastication. Okay, you have your masseter, temporalis, medial pterygoid, and lateral pterygoid. So this is the insertion of your medial pterygoid, your lateral pterygoid. See, your masseter, it originates from your zygomatic arch and inserted into the lateral aspect of the mandible. The major functions are elevation and protrusion. Okay, whereas your temporalis, it is from your temporal fascia to your coronoid process and anterior border of ramus of your mandible, and it retroots your mandible. So temporalis is the retrusor, and medial and lateral pterygoids help in protrusion and side to side movements. Okay, your lateral pterygoid, it is from the infratemporal surface of your sphenoid bone and lateral part of your pterygoid plate. Okay, and then it is inserted into the pterygoid fovea and capsule, articular disc and capsule of TMJ, and it helps in protrusion, depression, and side to side movement. So lateral pterygoid is a depressor. And medial pterygoid is from the medial aspect of your lateral pterygoid plate and maxillary tuberosity, and it is inserted into the roughened area that is present on the medial aspect of the ramus of the mandible. This helps in protrusion, elevation, and side to side movements. Okay, this muscles of mastication has been taken as a separate thing, right? I'm just brushing through it. Okay, so coronoid process, insertion of your temporalis, pterygoid fovea, insertion of your lateral pterygoid. This is the roughened area on the medial aspect of your medial pterygoid insertion. Okay, this is for your medial pterygoid insertion, and this is the insertion of your masseter. So these are the muscles of mastication. So the only retrusor of your muscles of mastication is your temporalis, and the depressor is lateral pterygoid. Okay. Now we'll stop with ligaments and muscles. Okay, we'll continue in the next class.